And just like that, we're back. F1 Grandstand, bringing you your daily F1 news. Did you have a glorious weekend? Did you miss us? Back for your Monday night. I'm so sorry, by the way, for my tardiness. I know it's a 7:30 slot that we like to do Monday to Friday. And then obviously our watch-alongs for Grand Prix weekends, etc. and breaking news. However, I'm a little bit late today. And all I can do is apologise. A couple of technical issues, a slight dog malfunction. But apart from that, now we're back. We're here for your F1 news. How are you all doing? Who's in the chat? Let me know. Say hello if you are joining us. Because obviously tonight I'm winging it a little bit. I've got some good stories about Max and Christianhorner. Ricardo Patrese been getting in the mix. He's been talking. So we'll be talking about Ricardo Patrese been saying about Christianhorner and Max Verstappen somehow, some way, gonna get the band back together. Yeah, so that's an interesting one. And also another Christianhorner story about Ferrari, which we did touch on last week. So yeah, it's going to be a Christianhorner dominated show tonight. How you all doing? Get in the chat. So first story, Ricardo Patrese. Ricardo. Some say maybe a legend of Formula One. Hey James, hey Destroy Television, great to have you in the chat. Hey Gemma, nice to have you all there. Yes, we're talking about Horner again, because this man, you can't keep him out of the goddamn news, can you? Christianhorner he's constantly in the news, but today it's not him talking about himself. This is Ricardo Patrese, 6-time Grand Prix winner and friend of Horner, has been talking about a scenario where Horner and Max Verstappen could join forces again, but this time Aston Martin. Now, I thought the Aston Martin door had been slammed shut with Andy Cowell's comment of saying that Christianhorner, there are no plans for Christianhorner to take part in an operational role or a financial role of this team now or in the future. Well, Ricardo Patrese saying, bollocks. Ricardo Patrese saying he created a term called the new Red Bull. How about that? He thinks the new Red Bull at Silverstone thinks that Horner could create a Michael Schumacher-esque impact if he decided to return to Formula One with Aston Martin and bring Verstappen along for the ride. This is what else he says. The parting of ways between Horner and Red Bull became official last month. We know that, Ricardo. And they reached a settlement, I believe, worth 100 million. We knew that, Ricardo. The compromise agreed could free the 50-year-old to return Formula One before the second half of next year. Yes, we know that as well. But Patrese, who described himself as Horner's friend, painted a scene where Horner's return to the sport with Aston Martin and Max Verstappen is possible. And Patrese's getting vibes of when Schumacher swapped Benetton for Ferrari, going on to win 5 further world championships, retiring with a new record of 7 overall. Now, all 4 of Verstappen's titles have so far been won with Horner at the helm. But the streak looks set to end, obviously, this year, because it's highly unlikely Max is going to win a world championship this year. Highly unlikely. Is it mathematically possible? Well, yeah, but it's unlikely. So Patrese says he took all the best pieces from Benetton to go to Ferrari to build a winning team and then became a world champion. Ross Brawn, Rory Byrne and all these guys were at Benetton with him, and he took them to Ferrari and then built a team where he was 5 times world champion. So I can see a similar situation happening with Verstappen. They talk for sure is the thing that made me go, what? They talk for sure. If this is what he thinks it could happen, then probably, yeah, Horner could certainly go there, make a new Red Bull team, Aston Martin. Now, Ricardo, what do you mean Horner and Max talk for sure? I've got Tubby George on the ground, and he's not said that. Tubby George has not called me and gone, do you know what? Max Verstappen and Christianhorner, they're like that. They still chit-chat. They're still in a WhatsApp group. I've not heard that. But Ricardo Patrese, who's a long-time friend of Horner, is basically saying, no, they're still friends. Destroy Television. Someone asked me if I was Tubby George last week. Hey, maybe it's Horner. Who knows? I will never tell. But my man Tubby George would have told me about this, I'm sure, that Christian Horner and Max Verstappen are buddying up in a WhatsApp group, sharing Christmas present ideas. And also with what happened with last week with Aston Martin and Andy Cowell's comments. I mean, what the frick is going on? How can this be a possibility? I mean, it's blown my mind a bit. Because could you imagine Horner and Verstappen and Newey all back Aston Martin? That means Andy Cowell's out of a job for a start. And he's going to look like a right plonker because of his comments last week in the press where he said, at no time in the future or now will Christian Horner be part of this team. Maybe Lawrence Stroll's going, maybe if Max Verstappen's up for it, then maybe Andy Cowell's value goes down the plug hole. But I'm going to go to the chat and see what you're saying. So Kyle's getting in with, I don't think Joss and Christian are talking. No, Jos Verstappen and Christian definitely do not talk. But do you think Max and Christian Horner are still talking? Do you think there's a possibility? I mean, I want to know what you think. Kyle says, I still think Horner needs to create his own energy drink and call it bullshit. Why not? Well, I saw someone mention that it should be horny drink. That's what Christian Horner should do. And Kyle says, Max did text Christian after he was let go from RB. That doesn't mean they talk daily. Yeah, I mean, Riccardo Patrese, 6-time Grand Prix winner, and obviously an experienced Grand Prix F1 driver. Might be friends with Horner. They might be good buddies, but I think he's stirring the pot because I just can't see that they're all chit-chatting. I can't see Max Verstappen and Horner going, hey, let's get the band back together with Newey, Aston Martin. Fuck that Andy Cowell guy, let's get him out. I just can't see that's what's going on. But I just thought it was a really interesting story that it's made it into Planet F1. And it's come from Patrese, who's basically saying, hey, me and Horner are tight. And he could see it happening. I think there's still it's more likely that Horner ends up at Ferrari. And this is what else Patrese said in the same article. Patrese likened Horner and Joss to a divorced couple, and he doesn't believe the relations between the duo would be a barrier to this Aston Martin scenario. And he goes on to say, if you divorce a wife, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have constant aggravation, said Patrese. You've obviously had an acrimonious divorce. I know people that have not had acrimonious divorces, and they would say something different. Kyle says maybe the iRace. Yeah, maybe they're on the simulator together. But yeah, I mean, I just can't see it. Look, joking aside, I thought it was a funny story. But I just can't see a scenario where Horner, Max and Newey are all back together at Aston Martin. I just can't see it. But I did think it was an interesting story. The story that got me more interested about Horner today was from F1 Oversteer, and it said Ferrari could block Christian Horner move as talks would stall for the same reason as Adrian Newey. Now, what they're basically saying is that they think that Horner, it's what I told you last week about Horner wanting shares in an F1 team. And he thinks that would ultimately would be what prevents Horner from joining Ferrari, even though John Elkann wants him to. Now, I think that's a fair comment, but I think Horner's getting rejected everywhere with his bag of cash. I read an article today about Haas. So Io said that, Horner did approach the team. There was a conversation at Haas. And Haas, by the way, are the budget Formula One team. The lowest valued team on the grid of under $1 billion, because they don't really develop any parts themselves. They buy most of it from the Ferrari parts bin. Ferrari engine, Ferrari gearbox, Ferrari suspension. I think it is their chassis, but not much else. So they are as we'd say in England, the Poundland F1 team. But Gene Haas was saying he's he's totally not interested in a Horner deal. Some people say that's because the 100 million that Horner's got in cash at the moment probably isn't enough to tempt him, and it needs to be a lot more to buy into his team. But some people say it's because Gene Haas might be just a bit of a dick and he doesn't want to invest in his own team, and he probably wants an outright. If he's going to sell that team, he wants an outright, sale, possibly, of really big money, of an inflated value of what that team's worth. But the thing is, Haas have not taken those conversations further. Is it a negotiation tactic from Gene Haas where he just wants Horner to bring more money to the table? Possibly. But yeah, it doesn't sound all that great to me, the Haas scenario. But the Ferrari one's interesting because I actually think that is actual goer. I do think it's possible, and I do think it's still on the cards. But yeah, so Kyle says Alpine is publicly selling shares and they need money, and leadership still the best option. 100%. Alpine is the best option. He's just got the hurdle with Renault. He's got that Renault hurdle where they have to make friends, basically. They have to make friends before that happens. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'm going to talk about something else as well. It's not all going to be about Horner tonight. I'm going to talk about our old friend Lance Stroll. Yeah, Lance Stroll. Get excited. Because Lance Stroll, as we know, there's been a lot of Lance Stroll bashing, hasn't there? I've been guilty of it. You've all been guilty of it. And there's an article here from Racing News 365. Now, they're asking him quite clearly about how Lance Stroll deals with the criticism. And Lance Stroll's come back with some pretty solid comments where he says, I like to see it as just noise. He just tunes out the negativity and gets on with his job. God. And so what he says, if I buy into it, it bothers me for sure. But that's where I'm fortunate. I have good people around me that I love and that I trust, and I put my attention and value their opinions. I try to live in my world, not the world in that sense. There's always going to be big criticism. People are very short-minded. You have a couple of good races, you're great. You have a couple of bad ones, you suck. That's never going to change. That's why being surrounded by important people and valuing the opinion of people that you care about, and that's it. It's all about their opinion. That's what matters. Don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. So I quite like that mentality from Lance Stroll, because imagine being Lance Stroll. I talk about him sometimes, just about how hard it must be to, every time you open any news article, any social media, they just wade into him, don't they? It's like open season on Lance Stroll. And I have to say that next year in the Adrian Newey car, I think we're going to see something different, because we've got Lawrence Stroll building a team to try and get his son a world championship. And I think his biggest problem is going to be this guy, obviously. Right? His biggest problem is going to be Fernando Alonso, because he's going to get the same car. But I do feel for him. I feel that we should start a little supporters club for Lance Stroll. James has put Stroll the troll. Come on, let's not have that. And James, what else? Been drinking more than an Earl Grey. You talking about me here? Yeah, I agree with Destroy Television here. When you've got Stroll money, you can just turn off the noise, because you're not going to lose your seat, are you? But I'm kind of rooting for Aston Martin next season. I'm rooting for Adrian Newey. I'm rooting for Aston Martin. And I'm rooting for Lance Stroll to get a few podiums. And I'm rooting for Fernando Alonso to get his third world championship at 45. Doing it for the 40-somethings. I'm here for it. Bring it on. I think it's possible. this is. I was talking to someone this weekend about it. I was saying people were asking me about what's my outside bet. If I was going to put a bet at the start of the season on like an outsider to win the World Championship, a couple of quid, it'd be Fernando Alonso, because I actually feel that Newey's going to put a car on the grid with a Honda engine that's going to be top tier team. And Fernando Alonso, I think he's got one last World Championship in him. Am I being romantic? Am I thinking about, is it a movie script? Possibly. But I do think it could happen. Kyle says, I'd have more respect for Stroll if he sounded like a Canadian, eh? Yeah, I agree with that. James and Gemma's getting in there with some cutting comments, but yeah, I think that's Stroll's biggest hurdle is Fernando Alonso, and I'm really rooting for him. And I'm if I had to back a team next year, my vote and I am backing. Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso, World Champion 2026. Newey car. Lance Stroll, P3, Drivers' Championship. That's what I'm going with. Max Verstappen, maybe P2 in next year's Drivers' Championship. Charles Leclerc, P5. I can't wait to do my actual 2026 predictions. But joking aside, Aston Martin are looking great. The noises coming out from the Aston Martin camp are really strong. Tubby George has told me that the Honda engine is looking amazing. The Adrian Newey talk of the loopholes that he's found in the design are real. What Tubby George told me was about the Aston Martin car is, yes, Adrian Newey's doing something with the suspension, but the cockpit design, he said, you got to focus on what Adrian Newey's doing around the cockpit. Everyone's talking about the suspension, but it's something to do with the cockpit. That he's doing something with the cockpit which is going to be revolutionary. That's the word on the street. Hey, Crackite, great to have you in the chat. And he's put Alonso battling for championship against Hamilton would be class. Shame he's in a Ferrari. Exactly, Hamilton. That I agree with you. Fernando. I'm just making up names now. It's been a long day. Fernando Alonso and a Lewis Hamilton competitive season. Bringing it back to the old school. I would love that. But the problem that Hamilton's got is, that Ferrari, there's just so many problems at Ferrari. I can't see Hamilton being in a competitive car in 26. And I know there's a lot of Hamilton fans will watch this and go and call me a wanker. But the truth is, I'm on Hamilton's side here. I just don't think they're going to deliver him a car in 26 that's going to be competitive, and I'm absolutely convinced that Adrian Newey's wacky design with his Aston Martin in 26 is going to be, well, he's definitely looking at things that other people aren't looking at. I mean, what he's doing with the cockpit. I mean, like I said, Tubby George has given me some. He said he found something with the suspension, but it's the cockpit, and I'm just like, I want to see this car. I can't wait to see the Aston Martin 26 car and what he's done with the cockpit. What's he doing? He made it like a pencil. The driving, like, I don't know what he's done, but it's all about cockpit design. That's going to be the thing, the game changer at Aston Martin, and the Honda engine is looking awesome. Destroy television. Tony's great at just making shit up. Ferran instead of McLaren and Alonso. I know. I'm going to get all these on t-shirts. Oh my god. So what Destroys Television is talking about there last week? I was talking about the McLaren Ferrari swap, and I went Ferrari instead of McLaren. Maybe that's going to be Horner's new team in 26. Ferrari. And now we've got Alonso. Oh god. Jeez. Yeah. But what do we think about that Ferrari swap with McLaren? What do we think about Piastri and Leclerc swap in 27? I honestly, the more I go into the more research I do on Ferrari, the more I'm just like, oh my god. I just can't. They're just not gonna. I'm saying it now, so early, but I just don't think Ferrari are gonna be good in 26. I know I'm early to say it, but oh my god, no wonder. No wonder. It's like CEO of Ferrari, chairman of Ferrari, sorry, John Eklund is going, I'm gonna get Horner. McLando, sponsored by McDonald's. Yeah. McLando will definitely beat McLaren in 27 because he's favourite, isn't he? Let's be honest. He is favourite. It's Piastri that's going to want to move. But I'm looking for. Let me tell you though, I'm going to do the preview show for the American Grand Prix on Wednesday night. And it's a good one because honestly, I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen with the McLaren drivers because I know the gloves are off. Piastri is going to pull no punches. Lando's probably going to pull no punches as well, actually, because they are both going to be like team orders. Fuck that. It's not. They're going to be out of that. And I think, and who do I think's got bigger teeth out of Piastri and Lando Norris? I'm going to tell you. Believe it or not, I think Piastri's got bigger teeth than Lando Norris. I think now Piastri's been playing the game, the team game, and done really well at it, if I'm honest. He really has been a good teammate to Lando Norris, even though he is ahead in the Drivers' Championship. I actually think if we're going to see teeth by any of those two drivers who sort of like, unplugs the radio, is a little bit more aggressive, watch Oscar Piastri for the US Grand Prix this weekend. We're going to see a different Oscar because he's got the support of Mark Webber, of his manager. They've already been Mark Webber publicly been talking about possible moves to other top teams, aka Ferrari in 27, saying that Piastri needs to learn Italian. I mean, not only that, Lewis Hamilton publicly saying to Oscar Piastri, literally F the team orders, do not give up places. Piastri's like a coiled spring. So McLaren is going to be fascinating this weekend. They are not going to play nice, and Piastri is not going to play nice. So I'm here for it. Because I think Piastri deserves to have the gloves off. I think Piastri deserves to show what he can do. And if you look at that first corner in Singapore, like would Piastri have defended in a different way? I think he would. It wasn't his teammate. I think Piastri makes a different move. So yeah, I'm here for it. Like, gloves are off. Let's go, boys. That's what I'm here for, and I think we're going to see it this weekend. I think Piastri and Lando, gloves are off. All out war, regardless of what Zach Brown says or Stella, whatever. Say what you want. These boys are going for the championship now. And so be it. And all of this papaya rules, play nice bollocks. Nah, not anymore. That's what I think. That is what I think. And I agree with you, Destroy Television. Destroy says, I'm going to be watching McLaren with a microscope and a tinfoil hat this weekend. Me too. Bring the hobnobs. I want the tea and biscuits. We'll be watching it together. Let me tell you that. But yeah, I'm here for it. We are definitely all going to be watching it together. But it's, the gloves are off. McLaren are going for it. So, and I think but listen, not to sort of discount Lando Norris in this fight. I think Lando Norris is going to bring his A game as well. That's what I think. James says, they can read your thoughts or even the foil. Yeah, well, apparently so. A lot of people seem to get some ideas from this channel, let me tell you. I've seen a few of our exclusives getting run with in the press. Guile's getting in with a couple of name suggestions. For Red Bull, Maxium, Ferrari, Hamclair, McLaren, McLando, Mercedes, Giocchi, Aston, Lenando, and Kick Sauber. Nickerbell. I like Nickerbell. That's a good one. Oh my god, we should do t-shirts with all of these. Red Bull, by the way, wouldn't it be Maxuki? Maxuki. Mercedes. You could have. I'm getting into your game here now, Kyle. I'm losing track. I'm thinking about Maxuki. Yeah, Maxuki's a good one for Red Bull. Aston Martin would it be for Alonso? Alonso. It sounds like medicine. Alonso, something you take for your piles. I think it's like we're inventing big pharma medicine with these merging names, like little shortcuts. Yeah, but Max Yuki's a good one. I mean, Yuki's not going to be there though, is he, next year? Let's be honest. So it'd be more like Max Jar, Hadj Max, Hadj Stappen, Masumi Max. Oh wait, that's a Playboy model. Thanks, Destroy Television. I feel like tonight's show has not been very structured. It's been a whirlwind of a day today. It's first Monday back. I promise you tomorrow will be much more structured, much more educational, and much more informative. Today we have totally, if you want the definition of winging it. But that's not the point about F1 Grandstand. F1 Grandstand is a place for us all to hang out. And you can give your opinions. We can share ideas. We can talk about what's going on in the news. So sometimes, you know what? We can just meet up at 7:30, not know what the hell we're going to talk about, and see where it goes. I'm here for it. I'm here for that. I'm here for that absolutely free-flowing action. I know I'm supposed to be chairing this a little bit better, with some good content. But tonight, I think we've got a little bit more of a, hey, let's just get on air and let's see where it goes. And it's taken us to nicknames for teams. I'm here for it. We need one for Hulk and Leto. Or for Racing Bulls. Lawson and Hadjar. Lawsjar. Hodgson for Racing Bulls. See, I'm good at this. And we could do this all night. But we should definitely have him. I like Lenando. Giving to Gemma, that's a brilliant one. Gemma says, give into the chaos and Lance Stroll with it. That's what we're doing. We're Lance strolling with it tonight. And we're ignoring the haters for our unstructured show. And we're just going to ignore the criticism. And we're just going to go with it. We're just going to Lance Stroll with it. I'm going to nick that, Gemma, by the way. I'm definitely nicking that as one of my phrases. Just Lance Stroll with it. You will hear that phrase over and over again on F1 Grandstand. I promise you that. We're just Lance strolling with it tonight. With my Earl Grey. Chatting about what's going on in the news, chatting about Horner dominating the show again, strolling with my homies. Exactly, Lance strolling with my homies. I mean, there's worse things we could be doing on a Monday night, that's for sure. Do you know what I am going to do? I'm going to have a quick check. If you didn't know, I've got a website called f1grandstand.com. And on f1grandstand.com, we have a section called news. And on that news, we take RSS feeds and we aggregate some of the news. So I'm going to have a little look if we've missed anything. We're going to do it all live. Tell me which headline you like. Zach Brown hails McLaren's fascinating rise from back markers to champions. Boring. I'm having a quick look. Oh, I disagree with this. Okay, Mika Hakkinen, F1 oversteer. Mika Hakkinen shares why he thinks Lando Norris has an advantage over Oscar Piastri in F1 title fight. Let's see what he's saying. So Mika Hakkinen, we know he defeated Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard, who was his teammate in 98 and 99. World champion, well done. But why does he think? So this is what he says. He said, I have to say, McLaren, of course, the team will certainly give the drivers orders to avoid trouble. They're both very good, but Lando has much more experience. That counts for a lot. But he also have fewer points. So I don't know. One of the two. That's not a good headline, is it? F1 oversteer. Matt Hakkinen shares why he thinks Lando Norris has an advantage over Oscar Piastri in F1 title fight. And this is what he actually said. The team will certainly give the drivers orders to avoid trouble. They're both very good, but Lando has much more experience. That counts for a lot, but he also has fewer points. So I don't know. One of the two. Brilliant. Absolute gold, Mika Hakkinen. That is the worst bit of journalism I think I've ever seen. And I just read it out on this. This is what Suck It and See Lance Stroll show. Fucking hell. So basically, F1 Oversteer covered an article saying Mika Hakkinen backed Lando Norris when all he said was that Lando's got more experience. But that is not why they're backing Lando Norris. The reason why, Mika, that McLaren seem to have a soft spot for Lando Norris is because Lando Norris's dad pumps in many millions into McLaren. And dare I say it, it may even be because he's British. Should I say that? Am I causing a worldwide fight if I say that? But the truth is, there does seem to be some favouritism with Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri's in front. I believe he's the better driver. And I believe he's been playing the game. And I like Lando. I like him as a person. I like him as a driver. But Mika, Oscar Piastri should be the guy they're backing. He's out in front. The 6 races left. If you're going to pick a driver, pick the driver that's winning. I think he's a better driver as well. And I'm British, but I'm just saying how I see it. Gemma's getting in. So strolling with my homies. I'm just going backwards a little bit. Gemma says, walk like your dad's black Amex is in your back pocket. Kyle says, let's Lance Stroll with it. Another way to say, let's hit the wall. Gemma says, does he hail them like a taxi to Snoozeville? Destroy Television says, I got an idea. Let's all make P1, P2, P3 predictions and next Monday see who gets the closest for flexing rights. All right, we can do that. I normally do that on the preview show on Wednesday night. That's prediction show. Or are we talking about the championship prediction? Kyle says, if experience trump points, Fernando would be champ. Yeah, exactly that, Mika. Listen to Kyle, Mika Hakkinen. If it was all about experience, Fernando Alonso would be world champion now and every year that he keeps driving. So true. But yeah, so if you don't mind, Destroy Television, can we save our USA prediction till Wednesday? Because that's a big part of my preview show. And we'll be taking a big chunk of it out if we do it now. That's Wednesday night, I promise you. Wednesday night. Brilliant. So Wednesday night, let me tell you what's coming up then this week. So Wednesday night, we're going to do the American preview show. We'll talk about the track. We'll talk about previous winners. We'll talk about who we think is going to be driver of the day. We're going to talk about who we think is going to be dipstick of the day. And we're also going to talk about our predictions. And we'll do P1, P2, P3, but we might even extend it to P4 and 5 because I think that'll be interesting. So we might do top 5. So that'll be all wrapped up on our neatly little USA Grand Prix preview show Wednesday night, 7:30. I will not be late for that one. And that's going to be Wednesday night, so we'll do all of that then. But do have a think about who you think is going to be driver of the day. And don't just pick a winner. Like, think people like Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll. Driver of the day. Somebody who's just going to overperform better than the car. Who's going to do let's okay, it could be like a Lewis Hamilton, maybe he'll win a race, but we're going to do our driver of the day predictions, but more importantly, we're going to do our dipstick of the day predictions on Wednesday night as well. Who do you think is going to have a stinker? I might avoid being a Yuki Tsunoda basher for that one on Wednesday night. I might give him a break for my dipstick of the day prediction. I might even give Franco Colapinto a break as well, because he's not having a good time of it, and he's in a crap car as well. But he's not having a good time of it. Is it Crasher Pinto? But that's going to be Wednesday night. And obviously, if there's any breaking news tomorrow or Wednesday, we'll have more videos. But tomorrow night's going to be 7:30 on the dot. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what transpires. I mean, Jesus, how have they not even resolved George Russell's contract yet? I'm going to get on to Tubby George tomorrow and find out what the hell is going on, because that is just taking the mickey, isn't it? How long is it going to be until they dot the I's and cross the T's for George Russell? Especially after his performance in Singapore. I mean, I was reading an article yesterday, or over the weekend, with George saying, George saying, if you don't pay me what I'm worth, I'm going to walk. I need to research that though. Don't quote me on it just yet. I need to really get some feedback from my man on the grid, from Tubby. But yeah, we need to find out whether Toto Wolff is finally going to concede to pay him the 25 mil for the year that he actually wants. And maybe that win has definitely helped with negotiations, but they still haven't sorted it out yet. But we'll cover that tomorrow. So yeah, I am sorry tonight. It's just been a bit of a free for all. It's been a bit of a let's go live. You know, let's get everyone hanging out. We'll have some chit chat. We'll see where it goes. I promise you, it'll be more structured tomorrow at 7:30. It's just been a freaking wild day today. A wild day with day jobs, dogs, and all sorts of issues. But so I'm glad I got on air though. I'm glad we managed to gaffer tape some sort of show together. But if you're watching this for the first time, I promise you, they are normally better than this. But thank you so much for watching. It's been a wild one tonight. It's all been about the chat. You guys have made it interesting and made it fun. But true F1 fans are going, what the F is this? So yeah, it's been a suck it and see. Thank you so much for getting involved and for helping us actually make a show out of nothing. But there you go. That's your Monday night show out of the way. Tomorrow's will be better. I will be back for more F1 Grandstand. If you feel like it, does this show, is it worth a like on the video? Maybe. If you feel like doing it, you're being generous, smash a like on the video, because it does. It definitely makes a difference to the success of the channel. I'll bring you a better show tomorrow night, I promise. Thank you to Kyle. Thanks to Destroy Television. Thank you to James. Thank you to Gemma. Thank you to... Oh, we had some new people as well. Crackite. I remembered your name. Thanks to Crackite as well for joining us. Brilliant. Loved having you all there. Promise you, tomorrow night will be better. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll be back 7:30 tomorrow night. All right. Ta-ta.